Hello everyone and welcome back to the AOR F1 2013 Season 8 Championship. It's round 2, it's the Malaysia Grand Prix. I'm Matthew Gallagher and joining me once again in the commentary box after a very exciting round 1 at Australia, it's Scott Woodwis.
Absolutely, thank you very much, Matt. And of course this circuit here is pretty intriguing. It's the first ever Herman Tilke drone that was ever constructed back in 1999, where it hosted its first Grand Prix. And depending on the weather conditions, it can prove two very different challenges. If it's dry, then the intense heat and humidity will mean that these guys will have to be looking after their tyres incredibly carefully, because tyre wear and grip are going to be an all-important factor. Speaking of grip, if it rains, we could be seeing almost monsoon levels of water on the circuit, which means that these guys will have one thing on their minds, and that's just keeping it on the black stuff. But certainly going forwards, xMattyG took a fantastic advantage by taking the victory last time out. He's going to try and capitalise on that as they go forwards. But it's certainly a very intriguing circuit. 15 turns, 5.5 kilometres, over 28 laps. Hopefully, should provide some great racing, whatever the weather.
Yeah, it definitely should be great. I mean, Australia had a few controversial incidents, especially lap 1, getting a few drivers caught up in an incident and ruining their races, being Fisi fan, Ricky C and Randy, and I'm sure they'll be looking to have a good result here for round 2. Let's having a look at Season 7 podium. Noble299 took the victory from TRL Limitless and Randy McScrandy in 3rd place, and Noble also took pole position in Season 7. Let's find out how everyone did in the qualifying report.
Today's qualifying comparison features Ricky C in the Mercedes and TRL Limitless in the Red Bull. And it's wet, so the intermediates are the tire of choice for this session. Limitless uses a bit of curves as they cross the line to help him reach top speed as both drivers brake hard just before the 50-meter board for the very wide turn 1, hugging the inside line to open up turn 2 and get the best possible exit for the rundown towards turn 4. Both drivers applying curves at this point in the lap and staying in 6th gear just before braking down to about 70 miles per hour to finish sector 1. And at the first split, we see that Limitless is ahead by a few meters. Limitless, using all of the track as well, lets the car run out on the curbing a bit further than Ricky. Now full throttle and up through the gears through this high-speed sector 2. Again, Limitless just using that little bit more of the track than Ricky. Down to 4th gear for both drivers for the double right-hander of turns 7 and 8. And again, full throttle for the run down towards the turn 9 hairpin. Braking at about the 100-meter board and down to 1st gear for one of the most difficult corner exits on the calendar, especially in these conditions. Running up the hill now towards the decreasing radius turn 11, the car never quite straight under braking, and we see again that Limitless is ahead by about the same amount as previously. Full throttle again now through turns 12 and 13 as they approach another decreasing radius corner at turn 14. Very difficult in these conditions, and the exit so important for the long run down to the final corner. Limitless with a little wobble at the exit, meaning he'll be on the back foot in this final sector and losing time all the way down this straight. Both drivers hitting about 185 miles per hour and then braking down to 1st gear once again for the final corner, hugging the inside line without daring touch the wet curb before Ricky C drains the rest of his curves and finishes the lap over 4/10 faster than the Red Bull of TRL Limitless. And now back to Scott for the full grid overview.
Thank you very much to Justin once again for that qualifying comparison. Now let's take a look at the grid for the Season 8 Malaysian Grand Prix. In a session that was rather damp, rather typical conditions for what you'd expect in Malaysia, it was Ricky C, would you believe, in the Mercedes, grabbing his first ever league pole position by 0.4 of a second from fellow Irishman TRL Rosberg in 2nd. TRL Limitless and TRL Minty line up on row 2 in the Red Bull and the Ferrari, while Learbot has a much improved qualifying session to line up 5th on row 3 ahead of the Continent in the Caterham. Race 1 winner xMattyG all the way down in 7th in the Red Bull, with Gary, who was KR Martin, who was TRL Martin, bit of a split personality disorder with this man, in 8th position. Then rounding out the top 10, it's KPTK in the Williams and Citizen 4 in the Sauber. Row 6 sees TRL Maisie in the Ferrari and iExter in the Sauber, while row 7 sees FiziFan 91 in the 2nd Williams and Traceby 92 in the 2nd Caterham. A qualifying ban from his incidents in Australia means Randy McScrandy was not able to take part in the session, and thanks to the penalty, he will start from the back of the grid in 15th. The top 10 was covered by just over a second, with the rest of the field covered by a further second back. The whole field spread by just 2.1 seconds, and only one non-starter today, Powerpuff the Australian in the Toro Rosso Ferrari. There are 3 drivers starting on the prime tyres today, Citizen 4 in 10th, TRL Maisie in 11th and FiziFan in 13th, whilst everyone else elects to start on the option medium compound tyre. There's the grid, now let's head out there for the Season 8 Malaysian Grand Prix and hopefully a very dry Sepang.
It's race time. It's the Malaysian Grand Prix. It's xMattyG and RapidScorpion commentating for you today on another 0% chance of rain. The weather is fantastic and the drivers are looking ahead to no precipitation. We're on the grid now, Scott, and with it being raining in qualifying, it means the strategies could be mixed up a little bit.
It certainly has also mixed up the grid as well, with Matty down in 7th place, but Ricky with that pole position. We know how quick these guys are on the Mercedes, and also watch for Randy from the back of the grid. These guys are getting ready and raring to go. Hopefully there is no rain, as we said, getting ready for the lights as we see Ricky on pole. Here they come.
Here come the lights with Ricky on pole position. 5 lights. And the lights are out and away we go for the Malaysian Grand Prix. Limitless going straight up into rich fuel mixture in the slipstream of Ricky C. Rosberg will not have that advantage and he's using some of his curves as well. So he is actually side by side with Rosberg now going down towards turn 1. A very hard braking point and the drivers have got to be very, very careful. Matty taking a very tight inside line and there's contact between him and the Ferrari of Minty there. But he's got up into, well, he's in 7th still from where he qualified. But then there's a little bit more contact with Condens and Matty and they're side by side now going down towards turn 4, and it looks like there's been no controversial lap 1 instance so far as Matty now goes up into 6th place and makes 1 position off the grid, and he's going to have to try and get through as many people as possible to catch up to his arch nemesis Limitless, who is up to 2nd after dispatching Rosberg off the grid. Ricky still out in front and maintaining the lead as Matty now gets a great run through that right-hander and up into 5th place now. This is exactly what he needed as Gary, formerly known as TRL Martin, KR Martin, whatever you want to call him, is now down into last place. But it looks like the drivers are driving pretty well. No real contact or lost wings, which is good to see, isn't it, Scott?
It is, and one driver I have to note, of course, Randy McScrandy, a flyer off the line from 15th up to 9th already, about 2/3 of the way around the first lap. So an incredible start from the Mercedes as he starts sliding up through the field again. And also Gary with a poor start also. And that was a great move also noticed with Matty as Ricky already starting to run wide. He may possibly be throwing away his lead already on the second to last corner. And Limitless has got through. Despite using curves, it hasn't worked. And Ricky's now back in the slipstream into Rich Mix 3. He's keen to regain the lead. They're going to go side to side down towards the final corner. This is only lap 1. Ricky better under brakes up the inside. But is Limitless going to get the undercut on the exit? He may well do. He has got curves in reserve. And once again, he's in the tow. Of course, DRS is not active until the end of lap 3, as again they want to go parallel down towards the pit straight. It's a drag race. Red Bull versus Mercedes, Renault versus Mercedes power, down into the braking zone, and Ricky just gets his nose in front, and they're all piling up behind because Rosberg is being tagged. Rosberg gets tagged, I think, by, was that possibly Minty or somebody got something going back? It was Learbot, in fact. Learbot tags him. Learbot's down to 7th to let him go, and Randy takes advantage up to 8th. What a crazy first lap.
Yeah, so that's Rosberg and Learbot taking themselves out of the fight for the win at the moment, which is controversial to say the least. But Trace now dive bombing and also to maybe causing an incident there. But he managed to slow the car down, which is great braking from him. But yeah, those two coming together as Limitless and Ricky now side by side going through down towards this double right-hander. There's not space for 2 cars and Limitless just about, oh, they're still side by side. And Matty's up into 3rd now and is potentially going to challenge for the lead here. Limitless and Ricky and now Matty all down towards this hairpin. And it's going to be a left-hander. Ricky mounting the curb slightly and pushing Limitless almost off the track here, and Matty's just having a look to the left. As you can see, here he is, and they're both going through side by side still through this right-hander, and Matty saved a bit of curves. I don't know about Limitless and Ricky, but they're almost 3 abreast going through this left-hander, and it is action galore at the moment for the Malaysian Grand Prix, and Matty now braking slightly later than his teammate and is up into 2nd place now. So he has taken 2nd place and is now in the slipstream of Ricky. Can Matty go into the lead at the end of lap 2 after starting 7th on the grid? This could be incredible. Round the outside down towards the last corner. He's slightly locked up his front left. Now Limitless is looking at the inside of his teammate again. He's saved a bit of curves, so he could get into the slipstream of Matty. We're now back with Continence in 6th place, and he is now trying to get past Rosberg by the looks of things, as Matty now goes for the lead up the inside down towards turn 1, and it looks like he is going to take the lead, and he has indeed, up to P1, and Limitless now having a look up the inside and now the outside for turn 2 as Randy sets the fastest up of a 37.9, I think that is, which is a lot faster than the leaders at the moment as they are fighting. Limitless now going up the inside of Ricky and up into 2nd, and that is a Red Bull 1-2 at the moment, Scott.
Do you have any breath left after that? Because that was just simply incredible. What racing we had on lap 2 already as Ricky's now looking to try and get through. And just like that, Matty stormed through from 7th to 1st in the space of 2 laps. An incredible drive so far, as is happening from Randy McScrandy behind. He's going to try and make himself up towards the field and try to get himself into 4th position, which could possibly make it a Red Bull 1-2, a Mercedes 3-4. And look at how much the Red Bulls are pulling away already from Ricky now as he's going to fall into the clutches of Minty. So Ricky's advantage, maybe he was a little bit rattled. He was on his first ever pole position and coped with it well, but I think possibly when he went off at the second to last corner, it did maybe dent his confidence a tiny bit in the car, I possibly wonder, because he didn't seem to have the same, he fought as much as he could, but it just seemed ultimately he didn't have enough to keep the Red Bulls at bay. As we go to a replay of the starting, and this is Matty straight into Rich Mix 3, Constance to your left in the Caterham, following this Minty, of course, up ahead on the left in the Ferrari, and Leobot ahead in the Toro Rosso. Gary's already starting to get a great start just behind, but Matty's doing enough, holding that inside line into turn 1. They all start to concertina up a little bit, tiny bumps and scrapes, but nice to get through. There's a piece of contact on the side pod of Minty's Ferrari, but managed to get away unscathed. This is Traceby's view back in 14th in the second of the Caterhams, and Randy should get a flyer off the line. And look, he was actually beaten off the line initially, so it must have been that Randy had some put in a fantastic opening sequence of corners to move up as high as he did. He's already slightly ahead and trying to move his way back through the field. He's now on the outside edge. You can see just there, Randy going clean around the outside of Citizen to try and grab 10th position. They're going to go side by side. This is now Citizen's view here as they almost went 3 wide. That was what forced Gary wide. There was side by side action. I think we had KPTK. This is his view, in fact. KPTK going a little bit wide, and this is now KPTK still on board with him. Randy up the inside into the final corner, and the Williams driver trying to get the undercut that he wanted, but just couldn't get it done. And this is the view that Leobot had of that fantastic scrap between the leaders. And there was the contact. It was actually Rosberg getting tagged by Leobot, which caused the contact. And then this is at the back of the field, Fisi fan fighting with Gary into turn 4. And again, Gary wide once more. So that Marusha's having trouble staying on the track. And it's quite surprising, seeing as though that Rosberg had some fantastic, Thierry Martin had some fantastic pace at the end of last season and also in the first race. But so far, Matty, not exactly doing him any good.
No, definitely not. I think the only controversial incident really was between Rosberg and Leobot there. The rest of it, some great driving and some great action. Only 3 laps in, we've got 25 to go, and Ricky is now coming back towards the Red Bulls, who may well have started fighting, and Ricky is right behind Limitless in his diffuser pretty much, and he's going to have DRS, and Matty's obviously not going to have DRS as he is in first place. Limitless looking like he's going to maybe attack his teammate into turn 1. Citizen is definitely going to attack Trace. Well, he's not even going to have to attack him into turn 1. It looks like he's going to make the move stick before then, and Limitless and Matty now going side by side through towards turn 2 as Matty and Limitless have set exactly the same lap time, and it's well, he actually said that Matty had set the fastest lap and then Limitless had set the fastest lap, so those two cannot be separated one bit at the moment as Trace loses the back end out of turn 2 and is down in 12th position at the moment. Not an ideal position for him, because he is not in the points and really not showing the pace that he really does have in that Caterham. Fizzy fan as well in 14th place in the Williams, really struggling to get through the field at the moment behind Exeter, who is no slouch, and that just shows how close this league is. If Fizzy is down in 14th place, Ricky now still right behind Limitless. These 3 cannot be separated, with Minty a little bit behind. Oh no, in fact he's still in the DRS zone as well, so it looks like it's a train of cars, and well, a lot of them could be in contention for the victory if they stay within DRS. And that is the contact between Contadins and Randy. That is almost as if Randy ran him out of room there, and we might see another replay, I'm not sure, but that looked a little bit odd from my perspective anyway there. And Fizzy going and locking up his front right on those prime tyres, and he's struggling to get any pace out of them, and this is where he doesn't get past Exeter, I'm pretty sure, as he'll have better traction on those option tyres and maintains 13th position. And we now come back to the Mercedes and the flying Irishman of Ricky C, who you could just tell as he gets very, very leery under brakes, hitting the curb, going wide as well. And Minty may well have a chance of getting past the Mercedes, but I think Ricky's got enough curves, putting it up into Rich and DRS to maintain that podium spot, which he does indeed, going down towards the final corner now. Limitless taking a very odd line, and Ricky almost smashing into the back of Limitless. There was a slight contact, just about managed to get away with it there as they both dive into the pits, Ricky and Matty. Limitless carries on for another lap, and so does Citizen and Maisie, and here we go, Scott, in the pits.
Yeah, some very leery driving. I think Ricky possibly feeling the pressure a little bit. He started, of course, on pole, and just getting a little bit too excited into these corners, and that's probably what's costing him positions and time. So he's decided to try and follow Matty into the pits to try and get himself out of the traffic and to try and get himself on a fresh set of tyres. As we come back to this great battle going on, it's now for 8th position on the racetrack between Fizzy Fan and Trace Me. Williams versus Caterham, and just ahead, Citizen is looking to the outside of Maisie down towards turn 4, and much later under brakes as the Frenchman trying to grab the place from Maisie, and they touch. There goes. They touch, and the Ferrari goes around, and that now means that Maisie, and that is a penalty, of course, for Citizen. Rightly so, there was contact between the two. Citizen was the instigator, and he does graciously let Maisie on as Matty's all over the place on fresh tyres. And that's now got Ricky's right behind him, also on the fresh prime tyres as well, 1.1 seconds behind. So Matty's certainly pushing the limits, even though these tyres are practically stone cold. Because of the harder compound, they need a couple more laps to try and warm up, as KPTK using all the track and a little bit more on the exit. Down in 12th position in the Williams. Certainly coming back into the league after a few years' absence, but finding it tough initially in the Williams, of course. Teamed up with Fisi Fan. Those two have been long friends for a long time. They've raced together before in this league, back when it was called ARL. And now, of course, they're renewing that partnership for this season in the Williams, and Fisi's up in 6th position. Kind of in a bit of no man's land, because the top 5 have kind of sailed away in front, as we've got more cars heading into the pits, the majority of that top 5 coming in, 3 of them at least. And coming forwards, Trace is also going to head himself in as he gets a warning for just putting his left front a little bit over the white line on the inside of the final corner. As Fisi's now up to what is now 2nd place, but of course he still has to make his pit stop. He was one of the only drivers to start on the on the prime compound tyre, on the prime tyre, which is the hard compound for this race. Ricky now in 11th place, still 1.1 seconds behind, so he's maintained the gap to the Red Bull in front. As we head back down towards turn 1, cars coming out of the pits. Can't quite tell that is. I think that is a Marussia. No, it's not. In fact, it's a Toro Rosso, and that is in fact. That's Leobot, the Swede in the Toro Rosso, managing to take the advantage and hold on in front of KPTK. So it looks as though, even though he's gone for the slower tyre technically, obviously it's certainly not exactly paying on the harder compound tyre to go longer on this initial stint. It seems though, Matty, that really those who are starting on the prime tyres, apart from Fisi in 2nd place, who's done a cracking job, really not being able to make the most of it, and they are struggling out there.
Yeah, it does seem to be the case, Scott, and Fisi doing a great job out there in 2nd place at the moment. It's going to be interesting to see how far he can go into his stint, as we now have a thing from race control. The 10-second time penalty awarded to Citizen has been reversed by the stewards, which I'm pretty sure that's because he waited for Maisie, and it was the right thing to do after causing the collision. And Matty's in fact behind the culprit of the incident, Citizen, and are now going to go side by side almost through that left-hander, and now the very tricky blind right-hander, and Matty is up into 4th position on the track and needs to really dispatch of these people who haven't pitted yet as quickly as possible to maintain the gap that he has to Ricky C and Minty behind. His next target is Maisie, who is Minty's teammate, and I'm sure Maisie won't want to get out of the way very quickly, as Limitless now comes into the pits finally from the lead, and he is going to go on to a set of prime tyres, and he's gone 2 laps longer, so this is going to be really interesting to see where he actually comes out, because the guys with the fresher tyres are surely, as Matty sets the fastest lap of the race, I'm sure Limitless was nowhere near that pace as he came into the pits, and Maisie is going very defensive, but Matty has timed his braking to perfection and managed to get up the inside of Maisie and up into 2nd place as Limitless comes out the pit side by side with Randy. In fact, Randy, the guy who was last on the grid, is now ahead of Limitless, and Leobot has managed to somehow get through as well. So Limitless down to 10th position now. He will in fact have 2 lap fresher tyres than most of the people ahead of him, which is going to be crucial towards the end of his stint. But right now, Scott, he doesn't have track position, and he's just managed to get in front of Leobot, pushing him almost off the track there, but now up into 9th. But they're still going to go side by side, but surely Limitless should have the inside line for the next corner and take that 9th position. But really, his race doesn't look particularly good at the moment.
Now, what's crucial also is that Randy, he finds himself ahead of Limitless at this point, so effectively there's no reason why Randy couldn't possibly be what's the word I'm looking for here? Kind of like an inadvertent roadblock in some way, shall we say, if that's the kind of phrase I was looking for. But Ricky now making the move on Citizen to move into 4th, and then quickly dispatching, I think, of Mrs. Maisie up the inside. Yes, it is. Awesome late braking from Ricky, or just about it was, just managed to keep it on the road. And in his pursuit of chasing down Matty, of course, after the first round of pit stops. Citizen now coming on attack from Rosberg, who will now go side by side with his teammate. Well, that's Minty, in fact, sorry. Rosberg's now coming up on the outside to try and make the move. As Citizen goes to lean mix to try and save a bit of fuel, in what I think possibly could be the toe in front. He has to drop back, but then tries to he's kind of went for the inside, then kind of thought about no I won't, then yes I will, no I won't, and eventually he decided no, I'm going to back out, let Rosberg go, get DRS this time. Maybe he was waiting back in the middle of the corner just to make sure that he could get the DRS down the straight. Speaking of DRS, here comes Limitless, who has managed to catch up Randy down the pit straight, and using hardly any curves, just about gets it stopped for turn 1. Randy will look back to the outside now for turn 2, but Limitless holds the line in that Red Bull, and with enough temperature in those tyres now, he's up to 7th position, and he will be the next attacker of Citizen now for 6th position. That will be Fisi Fan now in the lead, but of course he's gone 8 laps on those prime tyres, and he will have to make a pit stop sometime soon. Doing a great job so far in the Williams to hold on to the lead, but Matty now has got around, is keeping ahead of Ricky, and he is starting to close the gap. You can see on the mini-map he's only a couple of corners away. As we check in with the other Red Bull once again, Limitless has now caught the back of Citizen. He's right on the rear of him as he comes to the double right hand and back down towards the hairpin, and he's going to switch to the inside. There's nothing really Citizen can do. He'll try to brake as late as he dares, but unfortunately Limitless is just a little bit better under brakes. And then straight away Randy says, thank you very much, I think there's a gap, I'll take that as if you don't mind, and follow Limitless through, which he duly does, to follow the Red Bull through into now 7th position. And Leobot is straight away on the back of Citizen Cut, so the Sauber driver is losing place, his hand over fist, and marching his way back towards the rear of the field. As Citizen now jumps, has to watch and try and hold on. Citizen Leobot jumps up the inside of the Sauber, and they're going to go side by side with superior Renault power. Looks as though that he's going to get through as Fisi Fan now heads into the pits. Finally switched to a set of option tyres, intriguingly. Citizen also coming in at the end of lap 8. His tyres are pretty shot as well. Now I wonder possibly what tyre Citizen will switch to. Fisi now heads into his box with fresh option tyres. This is a pretty intriguing move here from the Williams team and from Fisi to put him onto the softer compound tyre to try and get the job done. Battle between Gary and Exeter for 10th position, which the Mauritius has now taken. Fisi Fan rejoins just behind Trace Me. These guys, of course, were teammates last year in the Red Bull, which of course now finds itself in the lead of the race at the hands of xMattyG. So how fortunes changed. The Red Bulls were struggling a little bit last year with Williams out in front. What a difference 2 drivers can make to the team, Matty. From cars that were in the front of the field now to almost to the rear. Williams will be hoping, wishing that at least they had Matty Noble back, wouldn't they?
That's up for Williams to say, but they do seem to be struggling at the moment. KPTK down in 9th position at the moment, and looks like he may well be coming under. Oh, actually, no, that's not Gary behind him, is it? No, he's just setting his sights on Continents at the moment for 8th position, and really needs to start making some positions up, because KPTK, you know, he's a veteran of the leagues, and he was there right from the beginning when it was called ARL, as you said earlier on in the commentary, Scott. And you know, he used to be the guy that was fighting for wins, and people used to look up to him and think, God, this guy's got so much speed. I think he's just taken a little while to get back into the groove of things, and I'm sure we'll see some great results from him in the future. But right now, he's got to focus on trying to get past Continents for 8th position and get as many points as possible, because he doesn't want to be facing any sort of relegation battle towards the end of the season. There's no double points for the final race in our league, so he's going to have to try and get as many as he can now, as Fizzy now is going to have to try and dispatch of his old teammate Trace with the DRS, and he's not going to use all of his curves, but he doesn't need all of it, as he now looks to the inside round the final corner and up into 12th place, and that may well be 11th, as I think someone is in the pits possibly, I'm not sure. But anyway, Fizzy up into 12th, and no one is in the pits. In fact, it's Exeter down the road in 11th, and Limitless sets the fastest lap of the race, and it is crucial for Limitless to get past the cars ahead of him as quickly as possible. And it seems like from when we've been on board with him that it has been working, and therefore the fact that he's got 2 lap fresher tyres, you can see here he's behind Rosberg now. He was down in 10th and now he's in 5th, and he's really just got the pace advantage of anyone really at the moment with those fresher tyres. They're so crucial. Even 1 or 2 laps can make the difference towards the end of the stint, as he now goes to the inside of Rosberg down towards turn 1 and up into 4th place. His next target being Minty. Fizzy sets the fastest lap on those option compounds, and they're going to go 3 abreast down towards turn 1. Can Fizzy make the move on both of them? Gary completely misses his braking point. Exeter does too, and Fizzy goes into that single points paying position. And with those options, he really needs to make the most of them, as they will not last very long, as we saw in the first stint of most of the drivers. It takes maybe 4 or 5 laps before you really want to be diving into the pits. And here is a replay of Matty looking up from the lead. He had a 1.4 second lead to Ricky. I don't think it'll be that now, as he gets a bit of oversteer through turn 1 as well, maybe having a bit of marbles. And as you can see, it says 6/10 on Ricky's screen, so that means Ricky should indeed get DRS, and that has put Matty under some very unnecessary pressure, and I'm sure he will not be he'll be ruining that mistake and hoping to not make that same one again, as Ricky does have DRS and saving half of his curves down towards the final corner, I'm sure. But oh my gosh, he's going to go into the pits. That was a radical line into the pits, to say the least, turning in very early indeed and going for the undercut by the looks of things on the end of lap 11. Doesn't look like anyone else. Oh no, there are. As KPTK and Leobot comes into the pits, but no one from the real sort of front runners have gone into the pits yet, especially not Limitless, as he's got much fresher tyres at this point in time. And Ricky has no one coming down the pits, meaning he does not have to wait in his pit stop. 3.1 seconds, and hopefully for him coming out in some fresh clean air. And I'm sure with the fact that the pit lane's quite long for Malaysia. He should come out towards the back of the field and be able to push until he gets to the sort of prime runners that are struggling on their tyres towards the end of their stint. But he'll be praying at that point, as he loses the back end slightly, that they'll be going into the pits. And he's in 11th place, just ahead of Maisie, which could be crucial, as Maisie, as I've said before, will not want to be letting through the front runners very quickly, as his teammate Minty is up there as well. KPTK down in last place now after making his pit stop. You can see how cold his prime tyres are on that temperature gauge to the right, and he's going to have to try and get past Leobot, who is also on the same strategy, as quickly as possible if he wants to be getting some solid points here this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. And the KPTK just trailing at the back of the field, unfortunately, whilst his teammate Fisi Fan holding on in 7th place. And that's the Constance running wide off at the hairpin. I think that's turn 9. So a major mistake for the Italian, as he now has to relinquish 6th position to Fisi, and a momentary lapse of concentration from the Caterham driver. Speaking of Caterham, this is 10th place Trace Me, forcing Gary wide. He cannot keep it on the black stuff, can Gary, because he's gone off left, right and centre, running very wide, so pushing a little bit too hard. And Limitless is already up to 3rd position and challenging Minty, although Minty goes a bit too fast into the final corner. There's the reason why, because he's pitting, as is race leader xMattyG. So on lap 12, it is going to be his 2nd stop already for the Red Bull driver. Looks like they possibly have got... He's going for another set of prime tyres. This should be pretty intriguing. So it looks like he will possibly go. It has to be held, because they'll think was that the Mercedes crew also in as well. I'm not sure. No, it wasn't. In fact, there may have been Randy in fact coming to the pits. So from the Mercedes team to bring their 2nd driver in. Ricky now carries on, but how's he going to come out in front? He has lost. In fact, has he got out in front of Ricky of Matty? I wonder. I think he possibly has, because looking down the straight, he managed to clear the pit exit before Matty even got there. So I think that's an incredible undercut, and Ricky's managed to make it work. And I believe once these pits will shake themselves out, as KPTK Leobot come to blows, Leobot tagging the rear end of KPTK's car. But I think as Gary finally decides to call it quits, he's had enough of this race and enough of putting on the green stuff rather than the black stuff, and he is now out of the race from the Marussia. But incredibly, the undercuts appears to work for Ricky, and he's back into the lead from the race he started from in pole position. So incredible stuff for the Irishman, and he's now possibly getting to the halfway point in the race. Could possibly be looking at a great chance to take his first ever victory. Let's not put a commentator's curse on it just yet. We're just saying that he's looking pretty good now, but also the man that finds himself looking pretty good at the moment, back into the lead after his pit stop, Matty's Limitless. He's taken full advantage of the fact that the cars around him have been pitted, and some brilliant overtaking moves. And after his first stop, of course, he's back into the lead, and he certainly is charging right now.
Yeah, he's pushing his prime tyres to the limit, as TraceMe92 and Matty, who are very good friends. Trace does not make it very hard for Matty to get past, as he's not fighting him, as they're not on the same strategy. But Limitless, making the most of his fresher tyres, now comes finally into the pits and will have another fresher set of tyres and everybody around him. It'll be interesting to see where he comes out again, as he's gone a few laps extra than the other people, and that means that the undercut will be quite significant for the sort of Rosbergs that he's been battling, as Ricky sets the fastest lap of the race, our net race leader, with Fisi out in front on the track. But after him pitting, Ricky is in fact in the lead, courtesy of his undercut and also Matty's 4.7 second pit stop. And who is that? That's Trace having a go into turn 1 and making sure he gets ahead of Limitless, and Minty's just ahead as well. Trace obviously having to pit probably on this lap, as he is struggling, as you can see, just not getting the traction out of the corner. And Limitless is going to try and get past Trace down towards turn 4, I think this is, and he's going to take the inside line for this right-hander and down into first gear to hopefully get the traction. But Trace is still hanging it round the outside up into Rich as well. He's not letting this other Red Bull driver through, because he knows that Matty, his friend, is battling him very hard in the championship. They're side by side, and well, actually Limitless has gone straight through. And I say battling hard in the championship, I mean Matty's got a 25-point lead, but I'm sure come the rest of the races, Limitless will want to make the most of the rest of the races and practice as hard as he has said as he's going to. So Citizen in 9th position at the moment in the Sauber, coming under pressure from Rosberg. I'm not sure if there's any contact. I think it was just him locking up, or maybe just not being able to slow the car down. But Rosberg, who looks like he's lagging slightly, and Citizen just letting him straight through by the looks of things. As you can see, there is a little bit of lag on Rosberg's car, but he's up into 9th place after his pit stop. Fisi Fan coming into the pits by the looks of things at the end of this lap. As you can see, his tyres, especially his front left, are absolutely crucified. And as you can see, peeling into the pits now, his soft tyres have only lasted him 5 laps. And he's going to have to go another sort of, well, 14 laps. That's going to be another 2 stints, but possibly on the prime tyres. We shall see, as we now have Trace coming into the pits as well. And he's going to go, well, we'll see what he goes on to. Coming in from 6th position. And he's Fisi going into this stop now from 4th. and he's going to go on to a fresh set of prime tyres. So he's got 13 laps to, well, he's not going to push it that hard by the looks of things, so it's going to be maybe an option stint at the end, which could see him sort of catapult up the order a little bit, but he's come out quite far down the field, and so will Trace. He's going to come out dead last and absolutely nowhere near anyone, but he'll have slightly fresher tyres, and he's going to have to try and push on to get any points today, Scott.
Yeah, but the intriguing thing is, of course, going forward, is that what should certainly help Fisi, of course, if he decides to go on to the option tyre later on in the race for the final stint, the lighter fuel load will certainly help that out, because a lighter fuel load means that it's a lighter car, which means it's easier on its tyres, as I'm sure you guys are all already aware watching this one. Just for the benefit of those who don't, of course, lighter car basically means it handles better, means it's less strain on the tyres, which means you'll be able to look after them much better. As Rosberg throws it up the inside of the Ferrari of Maisie, and back into 6th position. A great bold pass there from the Marussia, and he immediately starts lag spiking. So hasn't really been a fantastic day for Marussia all round, we should say. As then Maisie decides to peel off into the pits and says, "Forget that. I'm not sticking behind Rosberg once he's got these connection problems." As now Slitterson finds himself going side by side with KPTK in the Williams. KPTK getting the tow he needs with the DRS he gets on Rosberg. Now he's trying to move up the inside. This is going to be a wise man to try and move it up alongside him once he's got connection problems. But KPTK has the outside run. Rosberg sticking to the inside. Leobot comes from nowhere and says, "Thank you very much, citizen. I'll snatch 8th position while you leave the door wide open at turn 2. And now KPTK closing in once again on Rosberg. He's going to have to be very, very careful here not to get caught up. Lock up twice from Rosberg into turn 4. We know his connection is quite wavy at the moment, so KPTK just sitting back for the moment thinking, okay, I don't want to get in any unnecessary contact, especially whilst this guy's connection is not as stable as it could be. So he's just sitting back, although he's dropping back rather quickly, so whether or not Rosberg's found a little bit more pace is intriguing, as it's the second time this race Matty locks that inside front into turn 1, and he's dropping time to Ricky at the point. It was 2.7 seconds on the line, so Ricky doing everything he can to hold on to a lead now, as we know on lap 16 of 28, back with Citizen in 9th place, watching the fight going on now between Leobot, who was incredibly pulled away to such an extent, he is already on the rear wing of KPTK, who'll be looking in his rear view mirrors, but he really looks behind. There is the Toro Rosso trying to close in. Now he's going to try and dive it up the inside. He may have the inside where he needs to. Look at that, straight through. That's almost a very easy pass indeed for the Toro Rosso, and it's now Renault power apiece between these two guys. They're going to go side by side. KPTK's got the advantage of DRS and using up most of his curves. Limitless sets the fastest lap of the race as KPTK once again on straight line speed alone with the alias and DRS and curves, gets himself back in front in 8th position, and they're going to go side to side again, and fantastic battling here, and KPTK does not want to capitulate 8th, 7th position. He wants to try and hold on as long as he can, but Leobot just applying the pressure here. Just seems to, for the moment, KPTK just absorbing it right now, as Maisie comes back out in stone dead last in 14th place, trying to do the best that he can. And KPTK again, we come back to him as he continues his battle with the Swede Leobot, one of the graduates from GP2 for this season, certainly proving his place in the AOR F1 League and doing a grand job at this moment in time. In fact, all the rookies, in fact, have done a grand job, and they're all proving their worth out there in this season, Matty. And so far, I really hope that they're going to keep improving towards the end of the season.
Yeah, so now on board with Limitless in 4th position, now hunting down the leaders. And this is where the fresh tyres start to kick in. He sets the fastest lap of the race once again, a 34, and he's the first man into the 34s, and he's right behind Minty. And this is Exeter now. We're going straight past Constance and down in towards turn 1. He's going to brake a little bit later as well. He's always squeezing him slightly. You can see the arrow. He needs to give him space, which he just about does. Maybe is slightly controversial, but he's up into 10th place. And Constance is now spearing off into the wall by the looks of things, or at least a gravel trap. I'm not sure what's happened there with him, but he may have had some wheel issues. We may well see a replay, but we're now back on board with Limitless in the Red Bull, right behind Minty now, and Maisie set the fastest lap on his fresh tyres, as Limitless now right behind the Ferrari and hounding down for that podium. And who's that? That's Matty right in front of him as well. So this is Limitless looking like he could well get onto at least 2nd place and possibly 1st if he can start pushing towards Ricky as well with those fresh tyres. He's on optimal fuel, so he hasn't pushed his fuel completely to the limit, but so he's got a little bit in sort of reserve for the next 10 laps, but he's still in 4th position at the moment. We now cut to Fisi in the Williams, the other Williams. KPTK showing some great defensive driving against Leobot, staying ahead for the moment in 7th place, and Fisi now looking to try and get past Leobot on those reasonably fresh tyres. You can see to the right that they're not particularly orange or red, crucially. So he's going to be able to maybe have a little dive into the last corner. Let's have a look. Leobot's got DRS as well. Fisi is saving his Kers for the exit of the final corner. Is he going to have a look at the inside? Yes, he is. And he's going to go up into 8th place. If he can get the traction, he's going to have DRS on his teammate, which is going to help him a lot to defend that 8th position, which he does with the use of the rest of his Kers as well. He may well even have a chance on his teammate down towards turn 1. KPTK goes very defensive to the inside, and now Fisi round the outside. Can he make this one stick? It looks like he can. Maybe has slightly fresher tyres as well, but Fisi, a great move up into 7th place, and just kind of putting some manners on his teammate and saying, thank you very much, I am the number 1 in this team. And those two long friends, but KPTK using all of his Kers out of turn 3. He's going to have another go at his teammate. There's certainly no team orders in this team, but Fisi just about managing to hold on, and I'm sure he'll have some Kers left to defend over the rest of the lap. We now cut to Citizen, who set the fastest lap of the race on his fresh prime tyres, and he is right behind Maisie and a Caterham, I believe that is, and very feisty driving, and Maisie making slight contact with the Caterham. Citizen losing the back end out of the corner, probably quite scared in fact as he saw the Ferrari coming towards him, but he's still in 14th place, so these guys are fighting very hard for the lower positions as KPTK locks up and then gifts Leobot that 8th place that he fought so hard to defend, but unfortunately had to give up that position. So down to 9th KPTK is, as we now have a replay of Limitless going past Minty by the looks of things, down towards turn 4, which he does, and is now onto a podium spot with Matty, his next target after Matty's mistakes into turn 1 especially. We now have Ricky, who looks like he's struggling on those prime tyres, as he did pit a lap earlier than Matty, and I think 3 laps earlier than Limitless, so I wouldn't be surprised as he puts it down into lean that he's coming into the pits. Yes, he is, so he's going to have to stretch his final prime stint, Scott, which could prove interesting with the last few laps of the race.
But as we said, the Lighty Feeler will certainly help him out with that one, as the 2 Red Bulls now head down the pit straight, and they will now be line astern, and Limitless is reeling Matty down the pit straight. I'm not sure if he's going to be close enough to make a dive up into turn 1, as the Mercedes boys get to work quickly to put on a set of what must be option tyres. No, it's another set of primes in fact, so another set of primes to go for 8 laps for this final stint in the race for him. Limitless now closing in once more on his teammates. He's on optimal fuel at the moment, and he's, what I could see, he's due to come in, I think, next time by, if I'm not mistaken. So next time by, I'm presuming, as I saw on his heads-up display there, will be exactly when he heads in for the pits for his final stop. So Ricky once again going for the undercut. It worked last time against Matty. Now he got a ton of clear air, whilst Limitless is, so is Matty, but Limitless is the man that's going to lose out the most, I think, because he's going to have to stop, I think, next time by, and he's actually tailing behind Matty in his dirty air. So while Matty and Ricky can enjoy the spoils of clean air to run a couple of laps, of course, Ricky will be in the prime seat overall because he'll be on fresh tyres and clean air. Matty's tyres have worn, and Limitless has dirty air to contend with also. This 3-car scrap between Maisie, Citizen and Traceby still going on, and Maisie, Citizen just says, cheers boys, I'll take 2 in 1 out next to the pit straight with the aid of DRS. Now, speaking of DRS, we could be seeing another DRS pass in action right now, because we see Limitless closing in, using up all his Kers, and in the slipstream, here comes Limitless up to the inside. Can't get it done just yet, but I think Matty will start to shoot off straight into the pits. Yes, he does. So, of course, Red Bull will service Matty first. Limitless will come around for another tour of the Sepang circuit, and he will come in next time by, as we said. Now, Matty is already into red on his fuel. He's down by 1 lap as he hits his box. Has to be a flawless stop here. Back into the final set of prime tyres, and away he goes. 3.2 seconds. A great stop by Red Bull. And also into the pits comes Exeter, doing a grand job in 6th. But he, of course, will start to drop down the order as he comes through. Matty now has lost another place to Fisi Fan, who's done a grand job once more to carry on and move up there as high as 2nd place in this race. Been leading earlier on, and Ricky again has got the undercut and has managed to get himself ahead of Matty at that point. So now it all rests on Limitless. Despite the fact he's on worn tyres, what can he do at this point? We now skip forwards to Limitless, who is now coming in for his final stop. He's indicating to his team he's looking for prime tyres in this final stint. He goes to Lee Mix 1, he's in preparation, and the Red Bull mechanics will be out in force to try and get this pit stop as quick as possible. This has to be slick pit work from the guys from Milton Keynes to get this car out in front, if possible. We need to see exactly a marker. I think possibly that on the menu map just there in the bottom corner. The first 2 cars you saw going down the back straight were indeed Matty and Ricky, or Ricky and Matty to say, in that order. And Red Bull are done, and that's a 3.2 second stop again. Fisi Fan coming down the pit straight, so he effectively will have the race lead if he can come through. Of course, he's got to make his final stop, which he will come in to make this time by once again. Ricky now coming side by side, and he has leapfrogged once again. So Ricky now in the lead effectively of the race. So we could be seeing, Matty, our first ever win for the Irishman and the first win for Mercedes of the season.
I wouldn't say it's over yet, Scott, with Limitless having 2 lap fresher tyres than Ricky, and has Matty at least in his sights, and Ricky's not too far down the road as well. It really depends on how fast these 2 Red Bulls can go to try and catch the Mercedes driver. I'm sure Ricky is extremely nervous at this point with only a few laps to go now, and Trace going straight into the side of Leobot really had no idea what he was doing there, and looks like he's just kind of peeling off onto the grass. I think that's thinking, oh, that's my race run, I really shouldn't be doing that, and just completely going to the side of the Toro Rosso there. Leobot pretty much coming away unscathed, apart from losing a few seconds, as we now see Fisi coming into the pits for his final stop, which he will go on to, I'm guessing, an option stint, as he will have it's the end of lap 22, so he'll have 5 or 6 laps to do on those option tyres, which he does indeed. Well, actually, no, it's going to be quite difficult on lap 27 and 28, so he's going to have to be careful and be, well, maybe take corners in higher gears. That could help with the tyre wear as he puts on the option tyres, but he's going to be rapid in these first few laps of the stint, as Minty sets the fastest lap of a 34.3, and this is Fizzy's teammate KPTK coming down the straight, and there's his teammate, so he has got ahead of Fizzy for the time being, but Fizzy has the faster tyre. Can he stay ahead of Leobot, these guys have been fighting all race long, but Leobot has managed to get in front and up into 8th position, but I'm sure that won't be for long with Fizzy on those rapid option tyres. It's going to have to do some do or dive moves, I think, to try and beat his teammate here, Fizzy, though, as KPTK defending very well earlier on in the race. So here we are with Fizzy. You can see his tyres have warmed up already, as they are the softer compound tyre, and he is not 1.2 seconds behind. I'm pretty sure that's closer than that. So I think Fizzy will have DRS when we come onto the back straight, and he's going to have to try and get past Leobot, but Leobot will have DRS on KPTK to defend, so Fizzy may well not have an opportunity down towards the last corner, but he has saved a whole bar of Kers, but he has actually saved half of it maybe for the exit of turn of the last corner again, but he may well still have a chance, as Leobot looks like he's running a little bit higher wing, front wing that is, then Matty locks up again into turn 1, and that could be crucial with this battle between Limitless and himself. But here we go, Fizzy and Leobot now side by side going through to start lap 24. Fizzy using some of his Kers as well, and the extra straight line speed that he seems to have in that Williams, and up into 8th place, and his next target is his teammate, in fact, and I think Limitless set the fastest lap of a 34 flat a minute ago, which is absolutely rapid, and I'm sure he is right behind his teammate at this point. And it's going to be interesting to see how that battle fares, as Fizzy is now putting it down to standard fuel mix. We are now on board with the Red Bull fight between Limitless and Matty. This is crucial, I'm sure, because Matty won the first race. Limitless unfortunately disconnected, and I'm sure Limitless wants to at least gain some points on his teammate by the end of this race. And, well, I'm sure these two will want to stop Ricky as well, as the Red Bull obviously was on the top step of the podium for the first race, and I'm sure they'd like to see it again here today. So it's 0.4 of a second between Limitless and Matty, and it's heating up, Scott.
It really is. We're coming to the closing stage, and it's fantastic teammate battles galore. Red Bull and Williams are going toe-to-toe with each other, as KPTK holding on to Fizzy Fan. Of course, Fizzy has the advantage of not only the lighter fuel, but also the fresher tyres. He looks to try and take advantage of that one, as again, once more in this it's not the first time we've seen this. Limitless reeling in Matty with DRS, and can he make a move in again? Holds back for the moment into the final corner, but again takes a tighter run through that corner, which is kind of compromises exit slightly. But again, staying in the toe of DRS, using up all his Kers down the pit straight, whilst down the back straight to finish this lap. Fizzy Fan looking to move past his teammate, but again, just holds back for the moment as they head through the final corner. What kind of traction can he get? He's going to have so much better traction on the exit with DRS and the remaining Kers that he has. He'll get a refill as they come across the line now. And you can see already KPTK using up to almost half of his Kers to try and stay in front, but it hasn't worked as Fizzy Fan makes the move up into 7th position ahead of his teammates. So I wonder what Williams think of this battling amongst each other. Certainly want to know what Red Bull think of Limitless and Matty going toe-to-toe at the front as well. But again, at least they're racing cleanly and fighting well so far without taking each other out, which is exactly what you want to see. As KPTK going bold around the outside of his teammate and gets the job done almost. Although I spoke too soon, KPTK runs wide across the runoff area, and there goes Fizzy Fan back into there. Leobot once again gets through. So, or has he? Because they're going to go side by side, and in slippers that he has got the inside run. KPTK has to yield it, and there goes Leobot up into 9th, 8th position. So once again, Leobot, ever the opportunist. KPTK must thinking, not again. This sweep must be getting on my absolute nerves at the moment. As Limitless now is once again tailing Matty. These two, of course, know that if they carry on fighting amongst each other the way they are, and Ricky's going to keep on sailing away. Although that said, Ricky's looking pretty close, so I wonder if these two are dragging each other around the track and in turn actually help each other close in on the Mercedes. And Matty, at this rate, we could be looking at a fantastic three-way scrap for the lead as we come on to lap 26.
It could be, as Limitless now right behind his teammate with these fresher tyres. He's going to have better traction, and he's got DRS and Kers, and this is it. They're side by side, and looks like Matty's not even defending. I think he's actually struggling. Yeah, there you go. He's on -1 lap of fuel, so he's just deciding to stay in front. Limitless goes very defensive into turn 1, thinking Matty's going to come at him, but really Matty made it very easy for his teammate, thinking he's really not going to be able to fight him at this point. Hopefully, he's thinking at this moment Ricky is still a target, and possibly a 1-2 could be on the cards for Red Bull, but it really depends how fast Limitless gets past Ricky, and then if Matty can have any chance as well. And now KPTK right behind Learbot once again. Learbot having his engine, that's like reminiscent of TRL Limitless a few, well, was it last season or the season before when he had that barbecue? But anyway, that's Learbot having a bit of smoke issues out of his back end, but it looked like it had just sorted itself out, as Ricky is still in the lead at the moment with only a few laps to go. I'm sure he is very, very nervous indeed coming towards this hairpin left-hander, and with his tyres they're going to be very, very worn compared to Limitless and Matty as well. What's the gap? 1.6 seconds apparently, but we've seen that the timings are a little bit off, so hopefully Ricky will look behind him, and there we go. I don't think that was 1.6 seconds, but it looks pretty close indeed. Can Limitless get DRS now going towards this very tricky right-hander? Looks like Ricky's just about missed the apex, and that surely looks within DRS range, and Limitless has got pretty much all of his Kers. He has got DRS as well. Is he going to put it up into rich fuel mixture to have a go down towards turn 1, because it looks like he's a little bit too far away coming towards the last corner, and he'll make sure he gets DRS. So here we go, round the final corner. Matty looks like his arrow is very close as well. And here we go, DRS and Kers up into rich fuel mixture. This is for the lead, starting the penultimate lap of the race. Limitless goes to the inside. Ricky's allowed him there, and it looks like Limitless is going to steam by into the lead and up into first place. And he's gone defensive into turn 1. Ricky having a slight look back up the inside, but Limitless has got the inside for turn 2. Can he make this one stick? Surely with the fresher tyres he can, which he does. So Ricky has to concede the position, and now he's going to have to look in his mirrors for Limitless's teammate Matty, who is going to try and get a 1-2 for the Red Bull. But can Ricky come back at Limitless? It's going to be an absolute feat and a half if he does with those very warm prime tyres. And you can see the arrow, and there we go. Matty right behind Ricky as well, and Ricky running slightly wide through this fast left right-hander. And here we go. Ricky actually taking a good line through there. Matty running very wide into the gravel now. So he's lost some time, and now possibly out of DRS if he can't get the car together. He's going to have gravel on his front left tyre at least. And Matty looking like, well, he was in the lead at one point, cruising, and now struggling to even stay on the podium.
Yeah, and have to say that was an absolutely beautiful textbook move from Limitless. He played that dummy on Ricky down the pit straight to absolute perfection. He jinked the outside, then forced Ricky to look in his left-hand mirror, move across, and he just opened up the inside for Limitless and said, if you're going to leave me that much room, I'm going to take it every single time. And Limitless took full advantage. And credit where credit's due, Ricky's driven such a great race, but it seems as though he is on -1 lap of fuel, as is Matty at the moment. They're both in fuel-saving mode. Limitless has got 2 laps pressure tyres and plenty of fuel left, which means, unfortunately, looks like Ricky will have to set up a second, though it may not be second at this rate, because Matty's now back up to speed. He's got DRS, as does Ricky, but of course, down the pit straight, this could be pretty intriguing. They're going to start the final lap, as again, Matty pulls exactly the same move. Get full once, shame on you. I can't even get my words. This is a fantastic battle, but he's been fooled twice by both the Red Bulls in exactly the same move. And incredibly, Matty gets through, and surely Ricky will learn his lesson by the move that Limitless pulled. But once again, he's been dummied by Matty with the exact same kind of pass, and he's going to have to set up a third place. Despite the pole position and the pace he was setting, that first win's going to have to come another time, as KPTK forcing his way back up the inside of Leobot now for 8th position. These two have been battling all race long in the latter stages. A fantastic scrap between the Williams and the Toro Rosso as they head now to the final lap through turn 3. This long right-hander. And how close is Leobot? Not close enough, I don't think, to make a move, as they're now coming towards the end of the second sector. There's only a few more corners left to go, and you have to say, Matty, that Ricky's put up a valiant effort, but so far it seems as though, as this race plays into its final few corners, it's a Red Bull 1-2, Red Bull dominance once again.
Yeah, it just shows that although, you know, you may have great pace, Ricky really didn't choose the right strategy. Look at his tyres, they are red raw, and that just shows that he pitted maybe 1 or 2 laps earlier than he really should have. If he'd gone 2 laps longer, he would have been on the same sort of tyres as Limitless and possibly could have challenged for the win. But unfortunately, his tyres are completely gone, and he's pretty much ice skating around the final few corners. He's nowhere near Matty either, who has 1 lap fresher tyres, and it's just that little bit of difference that pays dividends. And there we go, Limitless coming around the final corner, and he is going to take the victory, which I'm sure is going to mean a lot to him after his disconnection in Australia. He is back in the title hunt with that win. Matty taking a solid 2nd place, with Ricky finishing in 3rd. A great fight between those 3, but Limitless comes out on top this time. And now around the final corner, Fisi almost catching up to Rosberg, but with his option tyres, I'm sure they are completely red raw as well, as is KPTK's tyres, so everybody is struggling for grip. And Citizen now fighting with Extra around the final corner for the final points paying position. Who's going to come out on top? Citizen getting caught on the marble slightly, but he's going to get better traction and going to get 10th position from Extra. And there we go, that's where that single points paying position is going to go, and Limitless takes the victory with and the fastest lap I think as well, but actually no, he didn't, because I think someone went on options at the end. But a great result for him after it not looking particularly good towards the middle of the race, with him going further in his stints. But it worked out, as you can see. TRL Limitless taking the victory from xMattyG, his teammate. 1.8 seconds the difference, with Ricky C rounding up the podiums in 3rd place. Minty in 4th. A great result for him, only 3.4 seconds off the lead, with Randy Masgrandi coming home in 5th after starting last. It looked quite promising for him at the beginning of the race, but only being able to come home in 5th. TRL Rosberg also looking quite promising at the start until his tangle with Leobot, finishing in 6th. FizzyFan 91 and KPTK finishing in 7th and 8th for Williams. Leobot in 9th, and Citizen stealing that final points paying position from Extra round the final corner. A great move from him. Extra obviously missing out, with Contadins finishing in 12th and Maisie in 13th. Trace Me, after that contact with Leobot, I think it was, finishing a lap down, with Gary the only person not to finish after starting the race, with Powerpuff the only person not turning up. Citizen did in fact take the fastest lap for 33.7, but it was action-packed, Scott, and well, all you can say really is what a race.
Yeah, what a race, and you have to feel for Ricky C starting from pole position. He looked so good, but unfortunately playing the wrong strategy did cost him dearly, and of course it means that Red Bull once again take the advantage with a 1-2, and Limitless will feel that's redemption for losing his connection in Australia. That's a well-deserved victory for him and very hard fought. It does mean though, effectively, the Drivers' Championship, that xMattyG now still has a 13-point lead over Minty in 2nd place. Limitless is up to 3rd with his first 25 points on the board. He's up straight into the standings ahead of Rosberg, 2 points ahead of him in 4th position, and Ricky C with his result gets himself into 5th place with 15 points on the board. So that's just how many points that was worth. Powerpuff is 6th, equal with Leobot, so the 2 Toro Rossos are still equal despite the fact Powerpuff did not race in Malaysia today. Randy up to 10th. Up to 8th with 10 points, I should say. Then Constantine's 9th, and FizzyFan up to 10th, running up the top 10 with 6 points, equal on Trace 92. With KPTK on 5, TRL Maisie on 4, and already Citizen, Exeter and Gary, the men in the drop zone at the moment. It's pretty intriguing that Matty has been pretty consistent at 1st and 2nd place, and Matty putting himself in firm contention for the championship already. It means that now with Noble out of the picture, Limitless is his biggest rival. Once again his own teammate, but certainly taking the fight once again, and proving that so far he is determined to take the title that he's missed out on the past couple of years.
Well, he said it himself, with Noble out of the picture, that title is definitely up for grabs, and I'm sure that this battle between Limitless, Matty, Rosberg and Ricky and all the rest of the drivers are going to continue for the rest of the season. The Constructors' Championship, as you can see there, Red Bull out in front at the moment with 68 points. Without Limitless disconnecting Australia, I think that would be even more. But Ferrari in 2nd place at the moment, so a good job from them. But anyway, next week is the Chinese Grand Prix for round 3. I hope you guys have enjoyed this Malaysian Grand Prix. It's been action-packed, and I'm pretty sure that's the best race of the season so far. Obviously only 2 races gone, but I think that was better than Australia. But anyway, thank you very much, Scott, for commentating with me.
No problem, pleasure as always. We'll catch you guys in Shanghai.
See you guys for the Chinese Grand Prix next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.